In wedding planning, in business, and in life, catastrophes happen. And when they do, it's your ability to respond to them and to manage them that is really going to set you apart. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. My name is Andrea Eppolito, and we are here today celebrating life, luxury, and above all else, love. I'm going to share a personal experience that my family and I just had and how it relates to wedding planning, events, and business management. Every year, my family and I go to Maui. It is our happy place. It is where we go to unplug, recharge, and just connect with one another. It's that place where when we get there, we all just kind of like go, and we enjoyed the most beautiful, perfect 7 days imaginable. And on our very, very last day and night, I'm going through the checklist that all moms do. Are we checked into our flight? Do we have everything packed? Is someone leaving a charger behind? And we are packing up the room to go down and enjoy our last couple of hours at the beach when all of a sudden everyone's phones start going off. There's that kind of loud blaring, and I look down and I see that there has been an earthquake in Russia and that we are now in the midst of a tsunami warning. And it took me a second. I was like, okay, this is where we are. And I rush out to the balcony, and it is a scene from a movie. The waves are kind of picking up, and hundreds of people are rushing in from the shore. And in that moment, I looked at my husband, the kids looked at us, and we were faced with what was potentially an incredibly devastating experience. Now, fortunately, everything ended up being fine. We were safe. The waves did not hit where we were. But there were three big lessons that came out of this that I wanted to share with you today and that you can apply to your wedding business, especially when it comes to planning and execution. Now, the first is that catastrophes can happen at any minute. You don't get a Google invite to a terrible experience, whether that is somebody getting sick, somebody dying, or anything else. Catastrophe, danger, and issues pop up oftentimes where expected, but a lot of times where unexpected. And it's so true in wedding planning. We spend months, sometimes years, trying to create these beautiful, never before, never again moments for our clients, for ourselves, for our partners. And then all of a sudden, something happens. A truck breaks down with all of your rentals. Somehow technology won't allow something to connect when you need it. A cake falls over in the middle of the reception. And in these moments, the only thing that stops us from spiraling and losing control of ourselves in the panic is knowing that we've thought ahead. Now, in Maui, as soon as this warning came through, yes, I snapped into mom mode, but I also shifted into planner mode. Did I take note of the exits when we got there? What's the evacuation plan? How am I going to have enough food and water to take care of my children for the next 48 or 72 hours if the worst happens? Having the ability to stop, to assess where you are in that moment, to adapt and to act is going to be the difference between a night that goes terribly off course and your ability to right the direction and move forward in a way that is really impactful to you, your team, and your guests. The second lesson is the importance of having a backup plan and having resources. Now, in that hotel room, the decisions that we were making happened very quickly. What were the essentials? What's going to be put in our quick to go bag? How do we get to safety? When you're planning a wedding, you should never walk into it without having thought in advance of what you will do if something goes wrong. This is where a timeline becomes such an incredibly invaluable tool. After I write a timeline, I go through and I look for the potential pain points. I look for, okay, things are getting delivered. I want everything here the day before. What if there's an accident? What if a truck breaks down? What if there's a flower that dies and it's the most important flower in the design? When is my band going to get here? What happens if there's a flight delay? Do we have a playlist that we have on hand? If the cake falls, and a cake has sadly fallen and been knocked over by a guest in the past, is there a pastry chef? Do I know enough about working with fondant so that I can kind of put Humpty Dumpty back together again and my couple can have that beautiful picture and the moment of cutting the cake? When you're going through your timeline, make a note on all of the different places that you could see something potentially going wrong and have a plan B. This is especially relevant for outdoor weddings. You can plan a beautiful beachside wedding. You can be designing for a garden, and you plan and hope for the best, but you always need to be prepared for the worst and know that if that wedding needs to be moved inside, and every wedding professional that I know has had to do this, have you taken the steps to ensure that the backup space, the foyer, the ballroom, the interior of the restaurant can be made to look as beautiful and as lovely as the original space that you booked? And the third and final lesson that I really took home with me from this was you need to have the ability to find joy in the chaos. When we were evacuated up to that higher floor, my husband, my son, my daughter, and I were standing out on this balcony. We're watching everything happen. And I looked, and for a moment, I was able to breathe. And I said, okay, we're safe and we're together. That's what matters. The fact that we are here and we're in it together. Everyone is pulling their weight. My daughter is trying to relax into her phone. My son is talking to her to make conversation and keep her distracted. My husband and I are fetching food for the kids. And of course, there's that moment where mom is trying to turn it into a teachable moment, talk about weathering the storm as a family. My teenagers are rolling their eyes. And that's okay, because in that second, I said, this is going to be the greatest story from the vacation once we get through it. And in weddings, so often something will happen. The bride's veil will get caught on the chair or on the roses, and she'll have to take it out of her head. Somebody will fumble the wedding rings or say something wrong. Or, yes, a cake will crash to the ground. I remember when that happened at one of my weddings. A groomsman hit the cake, it hit the floor, and it didn't dent, it just exploded. And my bride looked at me, and I looked at her, and I handed her a fork. And she looked at me, and she goes, what am I going to do? I said, take a piece of the cake off the floor and eat it. And she was stunned. I said, how you manage this moment is going to set the tone for the next 4 hours. If I freak out, if you freak out, then everything just crumbles and it's going to dampen the entire experience. But if you can be game, if you can get on that floor, if you can eat your cake, and if you can find joy in this, you will set the tone for a fantastic party, and everyone will forever talk about how you were the coolest bride ever. And that's exactly what she did. In her beautiful, very expensive Panina Tournée gown, my bride got on the floor and she ate a piece of cake. And let me tell you, it was epic. And so when you are faced with a catastrophe, when a problem comes up at a wedding or an event that you have planned, recognize that there are many things that you can see, but some are unseen. Have a backup plan. Go into the mode of survival and moving through it so you can get to the next moment. And always, always find joy in remembering the fact that you are with people who trust you. They are with the people that they love most, and that this too shall pass. Thanks so much for spending some of your day with me. My name is Andrea Eppolito, celebrating life, luxury, and above all else, love. We'll talk again soon.